Sadness is part of a human experience, but for a century there has been vast disagreement over exactly what is and what, if anything, to do about it. In its simplest terms, sadness is often thought of as the natural reaction to a difficult situation. You feel sad when a friend moved away or when a pet died. When a friend says, I'm sad, you often respond by asking what happened. But your assumption that sadness has an external cause outside the self is a relatively new idea. Ancient Greek doctors didn't view sadness that way. They believed it was a dark fluid inside the body. According to their humoral system, the human body and soul were controlled by four fluids known as humors, and their balance directly influenced a person's health and temperament. Melancholia comes from melancholy, the word for black bile. The humor believed to cause sadness by changing your diet and or medical practice. You could bring your humors into balance, even though we now know much more about the system that govern the human body. Those Greek ideas about sadness resonate with current views, not on the sadness we all occasionally feel, but on clinical depression. Doctors believe that certain kind of long-term, unexplained emotional sadness are at least partly related to brain chemistry. The balance of various chemical present inside the brain, like the Greek system, change the balance of those chemicals can deeply alter how we respond to even extremely difficult circumstances. There's also a long tradition of attempting to discern the value of sadness, and in that discussion, you will find a strong argument that sadness is not only an inevitable part of life but an essential one. If you have never felt melancholy, you have missed out on part of what it means to be human. Many think contend that melancholy is necessary in gain Western. Rebold Berton, born in 1577, spent his life studying the cause and experience of sadness. In his masterpiece, The Anatomy of Melancholy, Berton wrote that increased wisdom, increased sorrow. The Romantic poet of the early 19th century believed melancholy allowed us to more deeply understand other profound emotions like pity and joy. To understand the sadness of their tree losing their leaf in the fall is to more fully understand the circle of life that brings flowers in the spring. But Western and emotional intelligence is pretty high on the hierarchy of need. The sadness has value on a more basic, tangible, maybe even evolutionary level. Scientists think that crying and feeling withdrawn is what original help or instead securely social bond and help them get the support they need. Sadness as opposed to anger or violence was experience of suffering. That could immediately bring people close to the suffering person, and this helps both the person and the larger community to survive. Perhaps sadness helps generate the unity we need to survive, but many have wondered whether the suffering felt by others is anything like the suffering we experience ourselves. The poet Emily Dickinson wrote, I measure every grief I meet with narrow, probing eyes. I wonder if it's way like maiden or has an easier size. And in the 20th century, medical anthropologists like Arthur Kleinman gathered evidence from the way people talk about pain to suggest that emotions are not universal at all in the last culture, particularly the way we use language can influence how we feel. When we talk about heartbreak, the feeling of brokenness becomes part of our experience, whereas in a culture that talks about a bruised heart, there actually seems to be a different subjective experience. Some contemporary think are not interested in sadness, subjectivity versus universality, and the world reader use technology to eliminate suffering in all its forms. David Pearce has suggested that genetic engineering and other contemporary processes can not only alter the way humans experience emotional and physical pain, but that world ecosystem ought to be redesigned so that animals don't suffer in the wild. He called his project Paradise Engineering. But is there something said about a world without sadness, or caveman ancestors and the favorite poet might not want any part of such a paradise? In fact, the only thing about sadness that seems universally agreed upon that it has been felt by most people throughout time and that for thousands of years. One of the best ways we have to deal with this difficult emotion is to articulate is to try to experience what feel inexpressible in the world of Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing which the fathers that perches in the soul and sing the tune which out the world and never stop at all.